Hello, this is Andres. This one is the WH policies and procedures in the hospitality environment, including hazard identification. Regarding with the workplace health and safety policies, every company in hospitality industry is committed to providing a safe environment for all the stakeholders, including a safe workplace for the staff and volunteers. Workplace health and safety is the responsibility of all our stakeholders, as the system and process in the place are the most effective when risk and issues are reported properly, so that an appropriate response can be implemented as soon as possible. No one is expected to carry out work or an activity that is unsafe, and no task is considered so important as to compromise health and safety or safe working practices. The company complies with all relevant legislation, codes of practices, and Australian standards, and ensure appropriate and adequate information, training, personal protective equipment, and other resources are provided. Workplace health and safety will be a standing agenda item at all staff meetings, so that staff can be consulted on workplace health and safety matters, including hazard identifications and ways to improve health and safety. We will coordinate activities to assist with improving health and safety and cooperate with relevant stakeholders in implementing health and safety actions. Regarding with the risk management, the company recognizes the need for risk management in consideration to day-to-day operation, strategic and operational planning and decision-making in all levels in the organization. The company is committed to managing and minimizing risk by identifying, analyzing, and evaluating and treating threats to achieving the goals of the business. The staff will implement risk management in accordance with relevant legislative requirements and appropriate risk management standards. They are committed to ensure that all staff, most especially those with managerial duties, obtain a clear understanding of the principle of risk management and the requisite skills to implement risk management effectively. Hazard identification and reporting. The company recognizes that to ensure that all areas of the workplace are safe for all persons employed within the organization, there must be a formal process to identify hazard and conduct risk management. To fire, there are some policies and processes in place to handle fire safety in order to guarantee that both consumers and employees are safe. All establishments face a serious threat from fire, and even a little fire can endanger people, property, and the environment. Also, it could make daily tasks more difficult. The company ensures so far as reasonable practical that risks associated with fire will be managed in compliance with the Workplace Health and Safety ACT from 2011. The emergency. The company ensures that it makes the right use of resources to prepare for and respond to emergency situations and critical incidents. The business is aware that preventing emergencies and managing them well can lessen to negative effects of unanticipated incidents. Evacuation. To help mitigate the negative impacts for an unforeseen, unplanned catastrophe that necessitates urgent action to avert injury, established norms of evacuation protocols have been enforced in the event of an emergency or fire. Incident investigation. The business is dedicated to looking into occurrences. Health and safety investigations should be done to identify the cause of the incident and to recommend and implement remedial action. Incident investigations will be carried out to prevent the recurrence of an incident and to eliminate or minimize the risks connected with the occurrence. Inquiries shouldn't be carried out to assign blame or determine a responsibility. It's critical that any investigation, complicity, and scope reflect the incident's actual or prospective gravity. Integral to the inquiry process is the clear explanation of the findings. Regarding with the incident reporting, under the Workplace Health and Safety ACT from 2011, it's required to report any modifiable incident immediately after becoming aware it has happened. It is necessary to preserve the site of incidents until an inspector arrives or directs otherwise. Risk management and procedures. To provide a safe workplace for everyone, the employees must abide by the work health and safety policies, procedures, and directions. The center manager assigned duties for the management of workplace health and safety to the assistant manager as needed. Everyone has a responsibility to prevent risks from occurring or to protect others from them as soon as they are aware of them. The person must notify the center manager or assistant manager of any hazard or problems that cannot be immediately corrected. The company follows these steps in ensuring that all risks are properly identified, analyzed, evaluated, treated, and monitored. First, establishing the context. Considers the nature of the risk when identifying and managing risk associated with the achievement of strategic and operational objectives. Hazard identification. Identifying the things or situations that can cause harm to other people. Third, risk assessment. The overall process of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. 4. Risk identification. Identifying risks, sources, areas of impacts, cause, and possible consequences to form a comprehensive list of risks that will negatively or positively affect the organization's objective. 5. Risk analysis. Considering the range of causes, source of risk, consequences, and likelihood to produce a risk rating. The rating will be used to determine the proper step in treating this risk. 6. Risk evaluation. The level of risk identified during risk analysis can be ranked and prioritized according to a consistent overall ranking and rating system. 7. Communicate and consult. Effective communication, consultation, and education in risk management are necessary to achieve successful integration of the risk processes into the business. 8. Risk treatment. Selecting one or more options for modifying risk, including funding and other resource considerations. 9. Monitoring and review. Continual monitoring and reviewing of risk profiles is essential to maintain the effectiveness and appropriateness of the treatment plans applied by management. Hazard identification. It involves looking for objects and circumstances that could potentially hurt individuals. In general, hazards are caused by the following characteristic of job: physical work environment, equipment, materials and substances used, work tasks and how they are performed, work design and management. Workplace hazards. Physical hazards: slips, trips and falls, vibrations and noise. Ergonomic hazards: certain body movements that result in harm to the musculoskeletal system. This may include repetitive movement, manual handling, and poor posture. Biological hazard. Exposed to dangerous and infectious organic substances like bacteria and viruses. Chemical hazards. Exposure to hazardous substances found in the workplace. Common types of hazardous chemicals include neurotoxins, immune agents, asthmas, and cancerogens. Risk assessment. We follow the systematic examination of any location or operational system in order to control hazard and manage risk. The risk assessment follow enables an individual to: first, identify risk. Second, evaluate and analyze the likelihood of and potential consequences of the risk. Third, review the current or planned approaches to controlling the risk. 4, add control measures when required. Controlling risk. Risk shall be assessed by the center manager or the assistant manager. The risk control measure will be decided by the person assessing the risk, with confirmation from the center manager. The risks must be addressed by the appropriate personnel with jurisdiction over the nature of the risk. Risks and the respective treatment plan must be forwarded to the relevant personnel via email. The relevant personnel will be in charge of resolving the risk given the treatment plans. Risk reviews. The center manager must undertake an assessment of areas that need improvement following the implementation and monitoring of risks in order to maintain the efficacy of the control measures. Continuous improvement. To allow for the implementation of additional recommendations and improvement for each risk, all risks are documented onto a table for continuous improvement. Management will make every effort to provide and maintain the following: a safe working environment, safe system of work, facilities for workers' welfare, information, instruction, training, and supervision that are reasonable and necessary to ensure that each worker is free from injury and health risk. A commitment to consult and cooperate with workers in all matters relating to health and safety in the workplace. A commitment to continuously improve our performance through effective safe work practices. The staff also has an obligation to comply with safe work practices with the intent of avoiding injury to themselves and others and damage to plant and equipment. Take reasonable care of health and safety of themselves and others. Wear personal protective equipment and clothing where necessary. Comply with any direction given by management for health and safety. Not misuse or interfere with anything provided for health and safety. Report all accidents and incidents of job immediately, no matter how trivial. Report all known or observed hazards to their supervisor or manager. Reporting. The person in charge of the risk management must report the status of risk during each step of the process. The following reporting process must be done within the initial 24 hours of action. All escalations of hazard identification and risk assessment to management. Actions discussed and agreed upon during consultation must be actioned within the next 24 hours after consultation. Results of risk treatment upon initial implementation. Conducting of investigation is conducted by the center manager or WHS officer may assemble a team to assist with the investigation, which may include, but is not necessarily limited to, the local supervisor, manager, and persons involved in the incident. Notifiable incidents. If an incident is determined to be a reportable incident under the World Health and Safety Act (ACT) of 2011, it must be reported. The manager or supervisor will inform the regulator as soon as practical or within the stipulated deadline. The person in charge of the work area is responsible for making every effort to prevent any disturbances at the scene of the incident until an inspector arrives, or until such time as the inspector may specify. Established background. This involves the compilation of information to establish the sequence of events that lead to the incident. Near miss of hazard to assist in determining the cause of contributing factors and involves. Investigation of the incident near miss or hazard site. Interview of relevant people. Review of documents. Risk assessment material safety data sheets. Relevant codes of practices and or standards. Determine risk rating or near miss hazard or incident being investigated. Determine contributing factors. Contributing factors are determined in accordance with root cause analysis principles and grouped into 4 categories: people, organization, procedural, equipment, materials, environmental condition, physical environment. Incident reporting procedures. According to the Workplace Health and Safety ACT 2011, it is the responsibility of the person conducting a business or undertaking to report any and all notifiable incidents. In the event of a modified incident, or a manager or higher must report the incident to the management. In the case that no manager is present during the incident must be reported to a manager in the soonest time. The manager who will report the incident must contact the regulator assigned to each state or territory. Notice of incident must be reported as soon as the circumstances permit. The notice must be given by the fastest possible means, which could be by telephone or in writing. The incident site must be preserved until an inspector arrives or directed otherwise. The report sent to the regulator must contain the following: an overview of the incident, the type of the incident, date and time, incident address, detailed description of the modified incident, information on the persons involved in the incident, including name, date of birth, address, contact number, occupation, relationship to identify notifying. If person is being treated, the following must be presented: description of the injury or illness, initial treatment, where person is being treated, legal and trading name of business's address, action being taken or intended to take to prevent recurrency, notifiers information, name, contact phone number, positioning workplace, information of person to contact, name, phone number, and positioning workplace. Regarding with the accident report, generally you are obligated to complete an incident report for every incident, however minor, and keep a record of every workplace incident. At a minimum, this must be available at all times, and each report should contain the following information: worker's occupations of your title at the time of the injury, worker's age at the time of the injury, time and date of the injury, the nature of the industry in which the injury was sustained, exact location of the worker at the time of the injury, exact description of how the injury was sustained, if any treatment was provided to the injured, and if so, what kind of treatment, nature of injury and the body parts affected, names of people who witnessed the incident take place, date of entry in the register, name of person making the entry. According to the World Health and Safety Act from 2011, a serious injury or illness of a person that requires Workplace Health and Safety Authority to be notified immediately is an illness or injury that requires immediate medical treatment in a hospital, immediate treatment for an amputation of a person's body part, serious head injury, serious eye injury, major burn, separation of skin from underlying tissue, spinal injury, loss of certain bodily functions, serious lacerations, any infection transmitted to a person as a result of them carry out relative activities, medical treatment with it within the 48 hours of exposure to a substance. Everyone hard while working, including direct employees, agency staff, contractors, customers, or visitors, must fill out an incident report or have their name entered on the injury register. Always store our personal information securely in accordance with applicable privacy, health, and safety laws. Thank you.